Good evening, everyone. I'm Lissy Bastian. It's Thursday, February 6th. Thanks for staying with us. The Bahamas Utilities, Services and Allied Workers Union worked to rule and press briefing yesterday forced the Water and Sewage Corporation to issue a press statement last evening. In its statement, the corporation said it was disappointed after employees walked off the job, claiming that they are being ignored by executives and management. The statement also rejected the assertion made by the Busuwu president, Dwayne Woods, that the corporation sought to roll back benefits in the industrial agreement. The corporation called the move by the union members yesterday ill-advised and unreasonable, adding that at no time has the corporation's executives sought to ignore, disregard, or disrespect its employees. The statement continues that both parties, the WSC and Busuwu's industrial agreement, states that grievances are subject to a 5-step process, stating that Mr. Woods has long demonstrated a penchant to circumvent the process. Instead, the statement said he sought to outside political directorate and or immediately to the board. Calling it improper, the WSC said there is no records of stages 1 through 3 of the agreed grievance process having been complied with and explored, but rather Mr. Woods has seemingly sought to bypass those stages without seeking to make any headway prior to elevating to stage 4. The corporation contends that on Tuesday evening, the executive chairman, upon receiving and responding to emails from Mr. Woods that were also conferenced with General Manager Elwood Donaldson and pledging to foster resolve and encouraging the deepening of discourse between WSC and Busuwu, the non-management union president used yesterday's press briefing to launch baseless, uncivil, erroneous and unfounded attacks upon its executive chairman and general manager, which the WSC also rejects, adding that those assertions are groundless. The WSC contends that a meeting was arranged between the two parties for this morning. Well, following that meeting, Busuwu's president gave our news team an update on what took place in that meeting.
Persons that were designated by the corporation to come to that meeting were just coming to hear and collect information to take back to the general manager. We give them all the information that we needed to give them in relation to the breaches of the industrial agreement. And they proceeded now back to the office of the general manager to see what could be done.
When asked about the WSC's assertion that the steps according to the industrial agreement were not followed, Mr. Wood said this.
Well, the next step is industrial action until the matters are solved. Based on the directions from the membership of the union, is that it's war until the present matters are resolved. I am only the messenger, and I speak, and I am the voice of the union, but it is the people that makes the decision in the union.
According to Mr. Woods, there are numerous outstanding matters of concern, all overdue, he says. Additionally, the union's appealing to the Prime Minister, along with the Minister of Works and all stakeholders, to intervene and resolve the matter.
The Bahamas Utilities, Services and Allied Workers Union is disappointed and amazed at the level the chairman and the general manager of the Water and Sewage Corporation would stoop to in an attempt to malign my character and post my salary in an attempt to endanger my life. All of this is being done just to deprive the union members of their benefit entitlements. They are both being disingenuous and telling untruths.
In news from Parliament, the government will defend its environmental sovereignty and those who breach environmental laws will be made to account. Minister of Transport and Local Government Renwood Wells made this known yesterday as he addressed parliamentarians on the reports that he said stemmed from ongoing investigations by the United States with regards to recent discharges from Carnival Cruise Line ships and recently discharges from a Norwegian cruise line vessel. Now, Norwegian voluntarily reported its discharge to the Bahamas Maritime Authority, or BMA, according to the minister. Minister Wells presented proactive and comprehensive measures that relevant agencies have taken.
We widely circulated the strict definition of our territorial waters as far as any discharges at sea are concerned. We drew as a nation in the Archipelagic and Territorials Act aligned around our entire archipelago, and we advised the cruise ship industry and all international shipping that anything inside this line constitute the territorial waters of the Bahamas. We absolutely prohibited any discharges at sea within this boundary, even discharges that are considered safe by other countries.
In addition, the minister says they are closely working with the help of the BMA to ensure close communications with all of the major cruise lines.
They have provided us access to ships' records and personnel, those on ships and those ashore. And with their cooperation, we are developing a broad database of potential pass discharge locations along major routes. We are running trajectories based on prevailing currents, and we are identifying all locations in which environmental measurements and assessments should be carried out. Efforts are being made to rapidly assess all key locations in our archipelago and sample and analyze data.
Minister Wells said that data will allow them to determine remedial actions needed and to assure absolute safety, adding that in partnering with the BMA, they will strengthen the approval of protocols, including the rules of reporting and inspection. The government recently passed the Environmental Planning and Protection Act 2019. The legislation provides the nucleus of modern national environment policy and regulations. Just last month, Minister of Environment Ramal Ferreira told a Rotarian lunch meeting audience that modernization of legislation will give his ministry the capability to respond to spills in both marine and land environments. Minister Wells said the Ministry of Transport is in close consultation with the Office of the Attorney General and the Ministry of the Environment. The Investment Fund Amendment Bill number 2 was passed in the House of Assembly on Wednesday. Financial Services, Trade and Industry and Immigration Minister Ellsworth Johnson, in presenting the bill, said the bill is an amendment to the Investment Funds Act 2019 and will modernize the vital investment funds industry.
By introducing an overhauled legal and regulatory framework that is compliant with international standards and best practices, equipped with improved investor protection provisions, and generally suitable as a foundation for new and increased investment funds business in the Bahamas.
Mr. Johnson added that the bill also addresses concerns which may hamper the European Union's full endorsement of the country's investment fund regulatory regime.
There are 24 provisions of the Principal Act that this bill seeks to amend. The proposed amendments strengthen the Act by clarifying the scope of approval, appointment, and activity of investment funds manager, the investment funds administrator, the custodian, and the auditors. The amendments also expand the provisions for sharing information with other regulators and adjust the transitional period for the Investment Funds Act 2019 to facilitate adjustments being proposed in the amendment bill itself.
Financial Services Minister said the bill will allow for the Bahamas to be compliant with international standards and best practices. Opposition Deputy Leader Chester Cooper said his party fully supports the Investment Funds Amendment Bill number 2, as they did last year, however, with some concerns. While throwing his support behind the Investment Fund Amendment Bill in the House of Assembly on Wednesday, Senegal Member of Parliament Reese Chipman criticized the government for not providing clarity on the creation of trust funds and not showing the amount of money in those funds.
What about the fund or the trust that was created? There was another one created for the Over the Hill community. I saw the fanfare of it, but I didn't hear anything else about that one. And I'd appreciate it very much if the Over the Hill, if all of these trust funds could come forward, because now we're about to debate maybe a budget for almost 600 million, and all of these funds and PPPs all over the place, and you don't know anything in it. So it would be important for them to bring these things forward so we know how much money we have and how much money we need to do what we need to do.
Mr. Chipman accused the government of creating challenges and not providing a report of the public treasury, saying it's a sad state of affairs in the country. He said there are many questions that still need answers.
I'm concerned, Mr. Speaker, who is advising this government in terms of accounting? I mean, you got all these big-time firms and you can afford it. Find one of those people to help you all with trying to make things clearer. Accountability and transparency is important. And the people of Centerville would like to know because
Mr. Chipman, in his support of the investment fund bill, says the bill enhances career opportunities for Bahamian professionals as the industry is too foreign-driven. Mr. Chipman said the government must find a way to create a balance in the industry where Bahamians are guaranteed a career in the financial services. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.